actions, Sandra showed no remorse. She actually told police that Maria got what she deserved for trying to take what wasn't hers. The callousness of that statement still sends chills down my spine. The aftermath. Maria's funeral was held just 10 days after her husband's. The same church, many of the same mourners, but this time the grief was mixed with shock, anger, and disbelief. How had their beloved Maria, who had just buried her soulmate, ended up dead over a man she barely knew? Her sister Carmen gave a statement that broke everyone's hearts. My sister wasn't herself. The Maria who died that day wasn't the Maria we knew and loved. Grief had taken our Maria long before those bullets did. The legal consequences. Sandra was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her accomplices received sentences ranging from 25 to 40 years. But here's what haunts me about this case. No amount of justice can bring Maria back or undo the senseless tragedy that unfolded. This story forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about grief, desperation, and the lengths people will go to when they feel they have nothing left to lose. Maria's story isn't just about a love triangle gone wrong. It's about a woman who lost her anchor in life, and in her desperate search for meaning, made a decision that cost her everything. It's about how quickly situations can escalate when emotions run high and rational thinking goes out the window. But it's also about the other side, about Sandra and her friends who chose violence as their solution, who decided that another human being deserved to die over a man who, frankly, wasn't worth either of their lives. The warning signs we missed. Looking back, there were warning signs that Maria was in crisis. The dramatic personality change, the isolation from family, the desperate clinging to this new relationship. These are classic signs of someone who needs help, not judgment. Her family has since become advocates for grief counseling and mental health awareness. They want people to understand that grief can be a mental health emergency and that sometimes people need intervention to save them from themselves. So what can we learn from this tragedy? First, that grief is not a weakness. It's a medical condition that sometimes requires professional help. If someone you love has lost a spouse, especially after a long illness, they need support, monitoring, and sometimes intervention. Second, that violence is never the answer. Sandra had options. She could have walked away, called the police, gotten a restraining order. Instead, she chose to become a killer, and now she'll spend the rest of her life in prison. Third, that desperation makes people do things that seem impossible. The Maria who fought over a man she barely knew